Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. As the next couple of days are looking pretty decent with generally dry and quite warm conditions around, with temperatures into the mid-20s, still a few showers around but nothing too major. However, as we head into Thursday and Friday, we could see a spike in the upper air temperatures, not impacting the surface temperatures all too much, because it's most likely going to ignite some quite large thunderstorms and areas of rain through the end of the week. So we're going to have a look at that in detail. And as we head into the longer term, look at the GFS, GEM, Eastern WF and the Ensembles, we've got quite a mixed bag in the longer term. Immediately into next week is looking quite unsettled and cool, but as we head into the start of September, there's a lot of volatility as we got some quite a large amount of Atlantic activity in terms of tropical systems, tropical storms, hurricanes and depressions, and those will bring big volatility to the jet stream as they do progress into September. So at this stage, early September is all to play for still. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So you start on the live radar, you can see it is a generally dry and warm day, a few showers scattered in England and Wales in northwestern areas, and into Scotland and Northern Ireland, a few showers around, a few of them being heavy but most light to moderate in intensity. So not too bad of a late summer day. And if we look at the temperatures, around the 2 p.m. point, you can see they're actually rising quite high across southern and eastern areas where we've seen little in shower activity and little in cloud amounts as well. Widely, seeing around 24 to as high as 26 or maybe even 27 degrees. Not too bad at all. And yeah, really quite pleasant. Now, nowhere near as hot as parts of Europe. Look at that, central parts of France getting into the mid to high 30s, maybe even touching 40 degrees with a heat wave going on at the moment. And it's that air mass we could tap into Thursday, Friday that could bring the risk of thunderstorms. But if you are looking for some heat, unfortunately, that air mass is going to be very transient, and it is not really impact the surface temperatures all too much. Just gives that increased risk of thundery activity and generally very heavy showers. So if you have a look at the next 5 days, if we start on the UKV, you can see a few showers around through the rest of this afternoon, but nothing too major. And overnight tonight, we could see a bit of persistent rain into the far west and southwest, parts of probably the Republic of Ireland for the early hours. And into tomorrow afternoon, there could be a bit more extensive cloud around and some more persistent rain for parts of the Republic of Ireland and a few showers into Scotland. But still, not too bad, not too much in terms of rainfall or cloud. Still another pretty pleasant day. However, into Thursday, we start to see that plume of very hot air from the south, and you can start to see thunderstorms triggering in the channel through the early hours of Thursday. And you can see generally low pressure moving in for Scotland, bringing increased shower activity. As the low pressure to the north and the very hot air to the south collide, that is where we see the biggest thunderstorm risk. And that increases through Thursday morning. Look at all of that very heavy, thundery rain approaching the south coast, eventually moving further inland through Thursday afternoon, moving pretty slowly. So it could be some very high rainfall totals, seeing some more thundery activity Thursday evening, and then it reignites overnight as low pressure system really pushes in against that very hot and humid air through the early hours of Friday there before pulling away. By Friday, we're all into lower pressure, but also fresher air mass, so turning cooler, and you can see more showers further northwards and westwards as we've got unsettled conditions moving in. And it continues as we head into Saturday. Doesn't look too bad, but much more widespread shower risk with low pressure dominating, and those temperatures will be starting to drop. Now, if you look at the upper air temperature, you can see that spike later this week. So into Wednesday afternoon, nothing too bad. Starting to get into the low to mid-teens in the far south, but really is only Wednesday night into Thursday. So the upper air temperature spiking around the 17, 18, maybe even 19 or 20 degree point. Could just about nudge into the far south, and that ignites those thunderstorms and areas of heavy rain through the early hours of Thursday into Thursday afternoon, overnight into Friday, from Friday afternoon into Saturday, getting completely pushed away, replaced by average to below average North Atlantic air mass. The other thing that could come with this very hot air mass is very high dew points. Now you can see at the moment dew points around the mid-teens, low teens, so it's feeling warm, feeling a little muggy, but nothing too crazy. But as we head into Thursday, those dew points will rise rapidly, and you can see by Thursday afternoon, some areas of the southeast seeing dew points as high as 18 or 19 degrees, making it feel extremely humid and tropical out there. That's in contrast to areas further northwards, widely in the mid or high single digits, much fresher, drier air mass compared to this humid air mass we're seeing in the south. And that's that collision that does spark those storms. Now, if you look at the temperatures, you'll be able to see the temperatures are fairly decent over the next few days. Today, you see that widely low to mid-20s for many southern areas, for most of England and Wales, even Republic of Ireland and Scotland, where you escape the showers, getting around that 20 or 21 degree mark. Into Wednesday, temperatures are pretty similar, widely low to maybe even mid-20s in the far south, perhaps deteriorating across parts of the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland as we do see cloud and rain moving in, but elsewhere still fairly decent late summer day. Into Thursday, this is where we got really hot air mass in, but you can see where with those thunderstorms and rain occurs, the temperatures won't be all too great, mid to high teens, pretty much the same as the dew points, so it's going to be exceptionally muggy out there. Around those thunderstorms, we see a bit of sunshine, a bit of dry weather, maybe 23 or 24. And then finally into Friday, the air mass is getting swept away, much cooler air, and you can see max temperatures around the 20 to 22 degree mark, and into Saturday, still around that 20 to 22 degree mark. And that's sort of the top temperature you can get with this sort of cooler, fresher Atlantic air mass. So you can see quite a lot of deviations over the next 5 days, but really ramping up and could be quite volatile on Thursday into Friday with a lot, or Wednesday through Thursday into Friday with lots of heavy showers and thunderstorms for southern areas, and there still is a lot of uncertainty exactly how it will break out and where the heaviest showers and storms will be. Now, if you go over to the longer term and have a look at the latest from the GFS, you can see low pressure moving in at the moment as it collides that hot air across Europe. That's where we see big spark with thunderstorms breaking out. As we head beyond that into the weekend, low pressure does replace it, but it's a fairly weak cut-off low, so that's why it's showery, but nothing too major. Into the longer term, though, we do see generally west-northwesterly winds, and here towards day 10, we're generally sat under low pressure, really not great at all to end August. But this is where there is a lot of volatility. You can see an ex-tropical system coming out of northeast Canada, heading up towards Greenland, and this shifts the jet stream northwards and actually allows high pressure to build over the top of us. Equally, though, into the longer term, we could see low pressure break through the high pressure and divert the jet stream further southwards and give us more unsettled weather. So that's why I said there's a lot of volatility in the longer term, and kind of here at the end, we're in between weather systems, not under low pressure, but not under higher pressure. And this run isn't too bad in the longer term, but I've seen some runs recently that have been extremely, extremely poor. If you compare to the GEM run, again, low pressure moving in over the coming hours, combining with that very hot air mass to the south, again, you can see that incredibly hot air towards the south, trying to climb northwards, and it does temporarily on Thursday into Friday before being swept away by cooler Atlantic air masses. And you see again another ex-tropical system exiting out of northeast Canada. Here again, bring the jet stream further northwards, trying to build high pressure in, but it does look likely this low is going to head our way in the longer term. And again, it's ex-tropical system at this point. It's more of a typical Atlantic low, but the energy and the wind speeds are still there, and it could still be pretty disruptive. You can see that extremely strong winds across parts of Greenland. You can see here winds, sustained winds getting up to 40 or 50 meters per 40 or 50 knots, that's sustained winds, so that's sort of 60, 70 miles per hour. That is very strong and would be pretty intense in those areas. That's not likely to hit the UK, but that sort of energy could influence the jet stream and put big strain on our weather systems. And you can see that here with the jet stream tracking straight towards us. We could get quite unsettled beyond this, but equally it could not. We could see high pressure move in with the jet stream further northwards, all depending on the positioning and the strength of the low pressure systems out in the North Atlantic, influenced by all that tropical energy. If we compare to the ECMWF, again, low pressure moving in over the coming days up against that hot air from the south, and eventually we see a northwesterly flow. Here, the ex-tropical system's nowhere near as strong and actually goes across the central Atlantic. Instead, you can see across Greenland, it's nowhere near as windy, nowhere near as strong, but because this tropical low-pressure system takes a more of a southerly track, it eventually means the jet stream is further southwards, heading straight towards the UK with no amplification. Again, this would bring really quite hot air towards the UK, but also very unsettled with all these lows. And you see the big temperature contrast here could spin up that low even further. So that will be very interesting to see what happens there. So you see all three runs all trying to move and adapt to whatever that ex-tropical system will do. And remember, at the moment, that ex-tropical system is probably just a disturbance out in the mid-Atlantic. Hasn't properly even formed yet. So it's very difficult to say exactly how it will influence our jet stream in the last days of August. But you see from all three runs here, it could build high pressure in, it could build a northwesterly in, with low pressure moving in, quite stormy conditions in the North Atlantic. Like this ECMWF, a flat westerly bringing very warm, humid, but unsettled conditions. We will just have to see in the longer term. Now, if you finish by looking at the ensembles, you can see this spike in upper air temperatures towards the end of the week, but also a spike in precipitation. Again, most likely some thunderstorms breaking out. Then the temperatures drop below average for a good few days. Right towards the end of August, we have got quite a bit of volatility. Most, though, around average or slightly below, and quite a lot of precipitation around. So generally, ensembles are probably favouring more low pressure. As I said, upper air temperatures are either side of average, so no real huge bias, lots of scatter, indicating the uncertainty in the longer term. The 2 meter temperatures are going to take a bit of a step change for the worse come the end of this week, down from the mid-20s we're seeing in the next couple of days, and have seen the last few days, down towards the high teens on low 20s. Now, high teens, low 20s in the middle of July is completely different to the end of August, early September. Remember, the sun's strength in July is insane. It's the hottest, it is the strongest it gets, really. Whereas at the end of August, early September, we're on a slippery slope down towards getting towards solar minimum for the year, or the minimum solar strength for the year, which is in sort of December, January time. So we're on that downward slope now, and by the end of August, early September, you can still get sunburn and things like that, but sort of 19, 20, 21 degrees doesn't feel anywhere near as warm when we've got some sunshine around than it does in July. So we always have to take that into account. That sort of 19, 20 degrees now is not as warm as or it doesn't feel as warm as a 19 or 20 degrees through June or July. And we will continue to see that downwards trend inevitably as the seasons change, but we're seeing quite a big step change appearing here in the final days of August. Will we see a resurgence in September? It's hard to say at this stage, but yeah, this could be, for the moment, our sort of final proper summery warmth for the foreseeable future. Perhaps until next spring, next summer, maybe only for a couple of weeks. Who knows? We will have to see. If you finish by looking at the ECMWF ensembles, look at the latest midnight run, very similar to the GFS, spike in upper air temperatures by the end of this week, still not producing anything insanely hot in London. UKV definitely, with its high resolution, showing something a bit hotter than the bigger, lower resolution runs are showing, and you see precipitation spikes as well. But does drop by the end of the working week into the weekend for average to below average, for flattening out around average for the foreseeable future, but with plenty of precipitation. So you can see the longer term is very volatile, and we should have to keep a very close eye on it. And at this stage, we haven't got any real definitive outcome there, all dependent really on how the jet stream changes as we see ex-tropical systems and all their energy getting pumped into the North Atlantic. But we can say is over the next few days it's going to be fairly warm and fairly dry, but by Thursday we could start to see some big thunderstorms, especially in the south, maybe spreading northwards, and we'll keep a very close eye on those, and probably have an even better update tomorrow as more high resolution models get into the time frame. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.